Welcome back, and now we are moving on to Mike Ejeagha. We're looking at his life and times, a legendary musician and a very prominent man of society. And with us here is Reverend Father Ben Achi. He is the Director of Social Communications, Godfrey Okoye University, Enugu. Good morning, Father. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Now, I understand you have a close relationship with Mike Ejeagha. And first of all, how did that relationship start? How did you meet him for the first time? And, how did it grow from there?
Okay. Well, once again, thank you for having me on your show. And for inviting me to talk a man I always feel delighted to talk about. First of all, I would say I grew up listening to the songs of gentleman Mike Ejeagha, and the messages, the lessons of his songs resonated so much with me that at a point I started desiring to, have an interface, meet with this prolific singer face to face. As I grew older, that desire grew stronger. So I kept wishing, desiring, praying, and hoping to meet him someday. So I had a younger sister I was living with. I work in Godfrey Okoye University, like you just said. And I have a sister I was living with who will always hear me expressing that desire to meet Mike Ejeagha. And one day she told me something. See, Father, every time I hear you, expressing this wish, this desire to meet the gentleman, and, well, I haven't seen you make any effort. You're only expressing this wish. And you'll be here just wishing and hoping, and this man will pass on, and then you will bite your lips in regret. If I had known, I should have been more proactive. I should have been prompt, in going to search him out and all that. So those words, struck me, and I said, look, this girl is right. I better expedite action before I end up in regrets. So I started making effort to see whether I could reach him. So I started making inquiries, and I heard he lived somewhere at Ababanike here, somewhere at Obinag Road or so. So the first thing I did was to search for a contact of his. So I succeeded in getting a contact, and then I called. So he answered. I said, "Oh, good morning, sir. My name is Father Benjamin Achi." So he was excited. He heard the name because, for quite some time, up to last year, I was the Director of Communications for Enugu Diocese, or the Catholic Diocese of Enugu. So my name has been all over the place, in the media, and all that. So I make a lot of media appearances, sometimes in my own right, sometimes in my capacity as the Director of Communications. So I'm very well known in the media, and people keep hearing my name and all that. So he has heard about me prior to the time I called. So he was excited. So I've been hearing about you, and I've been hearing your name and all that. I don't know who was more excited, whether it was myself or him, because I was also excited talking to him for the first time. I told him, sir, it's an honor to speak to you with you for the very first time, and I'm happy that you are still alive and kicking, and I'm looking forward to the day I will meet you. So the conversation ended. Now fast forward to sometime 2020. There was this group of people, friends of mine, Charles Obu and Amarachi Atama, who lives in States now, and they were talking about organizing a birthday for him. His 91st birthday it was. So, and I reached out to Charles inbox because he posted that online. I reached out to him inbox and said, look, yes, I saw what you wrote, and I will really be part of it. This is a man I've always loved, and I will be part of that. I've reached out to him before. We already struck some kind of relationship, but I would like to be part of this. So they were so excited because they say the man has, knows about me already and has so much respect for priests and for the church, and it will be something great to have me on board. So the following morning, the duo of Amarachi and Charles Obo came to my office at the cathedral, at Holy Ghost Cathedral, the assistant secretary there. And then I told them, okay, what else are we waiting for? Let's go. And from there, we moved to the house of Mike Ejeagha. Yeah, so, and then when we walked in there, I wasn't wearing my cassock. You know, the cassock easily gives us away, but I was wearing a black collar, and I didn't cross my collar, so the collar was by the side. So, I mean, I could have come across as any regular young man on the streets. So, but I came to him, I bent over and said, "Good morning, sir. My name is Benjamin Achi." He said, "Father Benjamin Achi." So he was excited and stood up immediately to give me a warm hug. So I told him, "Okay, sit down." He sat down, and then, you know, I bent over to talk with him. He said, "I'm so honored. I'm so happy to have you in my house today. Oh, Father, this is good. I've been, you know, the last time we spoke, I've been looking forward to seeing you, and finally you're here," and all that. He was as excited as I was. Like I said before, I don't know who was more excited between me and him, because I felt so honored seeing this man. And I told him, "Look, the first thing I will say to you is thank you for using your talent to not only advance our culture, but to save the lives of so many people. You don't know how much the lessons in your songs have impacted positively on the life of people, you know." So, and all that, I want to tell you to your face today, I am grateful. Personally, I'm grateful, and I'm sure many people are also very grateful for what you did, you know, through your song, the impact you made, the positive impact you made through your songs. And as a very humble man, he just said, "Well, Father, it's God, just God that was inspiring me." So I woke up in the morning, and you know, when things happen, sometimes I just make my lessons out of the things that have happened, and I sing about it because I feel maybe it may help people it may serve as a guide for people, help them to approach the things of life better and all that. That's all. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even singing so that I make money or anything. I was just feeling that it's a calling that God has given me to make the world better through my songs and all that. So I told him, "Well,
Yeah.
but and you did respond to that call, and you did that so well. Thank you," and all that. So that was how the relationship started.
Yeah.
So eventually, the duo of Amarachi and Charles, who were spearheading the ceremony, brought me in. That time, where the house he was living in was not looking so good, and part of what was agreed upon that time was to see how we can, you know, give that house a facelift. So we started some kind of fund drive,
Okay.
you know, begging people, talking to some people, those in government, those in the private sector, individuals, men and women of goodwill, to assist us in that. And eventually we were able to pull that through, gave the house a facelift, and it made it beautiful, look good, better than it was. So at least the extent we could go, but it came out fine.
Yeah.
It came out fine. That house came out
So
fine.
how did you now go on to become his spiritual director?
Good, fine. So eventually we had the ceremony,
Okay.
the 91st birthday, and it was a carnival. It was really very beautiful. Many people came, and it was good. And in fact, some people got to know for the first time that Mike Ejeagha was still alive, because prior to that time, like I told you a moment ago, some people thought he was already dead, as a matter of fact. In fact, when I started visiting, it was after that 91st birthday, I told him, "Look, you've been a very great person. You gave so much to our society. You emptied yourself. And, well, I know you love the things of God. You're a co-Catholic. Now you are very weak, as you are a nonagenarian, and you may not have the strength to go out again." Because he told me, "Father, I don't have the strength again to go out. My bones are weak. Most of the times I don't go to Mass. I can't attend most of the liturgical activities in the church." And I told him, "Well, it's no problems. From today going forward, as long as I live, and as long as you still have breath, I will be coming to see you. I'll be bringing the sacraments to you. I'll be attending to you pastorally. And I will not stop until the day God calls you back to himself." I made him that solemn promise. I made that promise to God and to him, and I'm very fulfilled. I maintained it to the end. So he was so excited. In fact, he started shedding tears when I told him that. And I told him, "Yes, I mean it. I have said it, and I'm not going back on my words. I'm going to keep it till the end, so long as God gives me life and I live here, unless You know how things go in the church, unless they tell me to now get out of the country and go elsewhere. So, but so long as I live in this Enugu and I work here, I'll be coming to see you and attend to you pastorally. So, and that's how it started. So every other Sunday, I will be there, pray for him, give him the Holy Eucharist, and spend some time with him. And that was the time he told me lots and lots of stories about how he began his songs. We will talk about one particular song and why he sang the song, and also we spoke about a whole lot of things. He told me about his life and everything. And that was when, to be honest with you, I came to understand his person. That this man was really singing his life in the songs. You just look at Mike Ejeagha's life and you see all the things, all the lessons he was singing in those songs. So when you hear him sing, you see a man who takes life easy. Everything is, it doesn't struggle over anything. It doesn't trouble himself about anything. At 90, his vital signs were normal. You check his BP is 120 over 80 and all of that. Wow. He had no sugar, he had nothing. He was just aging gracefully, like we say. You see in him a classic example of a man who was aging gracefully. So that was this man. And he took life so simple, so easy. He had some problem with the record label to which he was signed, Premier Records. So we were feeling that he was being cheated, he was being shortchanged. He signed the deal with them in the early 70s. And we got to know that, this man was not being treated fairly. So when we wanted to pick up the gauntlet, when we wanted to, tackle the Premier Records headlong, he said, no, please, don't worry. Is it not money? Let them keep the money. I don't care. What is money? Money is nothing. I don't want to bother myself about anything. If God has kept me up to this time, it wasn't the money coming from Premier Records that has been keeping me alive. Don't worry. So, but we were telling him, no, it's a demand of justice. You made effort. This is your sweat, and you should have a reward from the hard work you've done. So it's not about trying to pick up fights with anyone or that. So we followed that case to a logical conclusion, and then the agreement was renewed, it was reviewed, and so things started getting better. Premier Records, of course, rose to the occasion, and yes, exactly. We mended fences. So that's how the relationship started. It blossomed, and it came to a point that, in fact, as at the time Mike Ejeagha died, he needed to be reminded that I wasn't his biological son.
Oh, really?
To be honest with you, because anything that's been done in the house, he will always invite me. We are not having this conversation until Father Benjamin has arrived. You go and call Father Benjamin for me.
That's a very close relationship.
That was how close we were. Sometimes he could stick to his guns and say, look, I'm not doing this in this way. Now, the children will come and say, Papa has refused to do this one. Oh, please come. So he help us to plead with him and prevail on him to agree to some things. So each time I come and I tell him, no, gentleman, you have to do this now. Please, just do it, just for my sake. He said, Father, it's because of you. I said, okay, no problems. Just do it because of me. So that was how close our relationship was.
So let's look at his musical career. Now, what would you say are the milestones in Ejeagha's career from when, from his early musical career to, his later days?
Well, from the story he told me, he began his musical career in 1945. I don't know whether my mother was born by that time anyway. Not to talk about myself. So, and we just started that way of course, as you will expect, on a very low key. He will play sometimes in hotels, some places, where people gather in pockets and all that. So that was how he started. His very first studio album, of course, Ejeagha was prolific. He recorded a total of 33 studio albums with over 300 songs. That was how prolific gentleman Mike Ejeagha. I don't know how many musicians have this kind of record. I don't know how many musicians across the world that can boast of that kind of record. So his first studio album was the one he entitled Ofumwana, just like he told me. He told me a lot of stories about his music. So he said he started that way, and it was that that first studio album that actually shot him to limelight, and so people started now talking about Mike Ejeagha. And you will notice something about his song. He carved a niche for himself. His genre of music was in a class of its own, was sui generis, was in a class of its own. Akụkọ na egwu. It's not something you find, I mean, I don't know of anybody else that did that genre of music except my gentleman Mike Ejeagha. So much so that his name started appearing in everyday talk. Akụkọ Mike Ejeagha. That's the kind of story you will tell. If it sounds so bogus and so good, too good to be true, they said, look, this is Akụkọ Mike Ejeagha you're saying, you're telling here. So that was it. So that's how he started, and then continued that way, and started growing until the Civil War happened in 1967. Ejeagha told me it was a very trying time. Of course, anybody who saw the war will know it was such a very trying time. People like us were born many years after the war, but the only thing the things I know about the Nigerian Biafran Civil War are the things I read from books and all that, or maybe from motion pictures, like, yeah. So that's it. But he said it was a very terrible time, and that he actually lost all his musical instruments that time, because they were at a certain place, I can't remember the place he mentioned, and then this shelling and all that started, and all of a sudden people started running and all that. And of course, if you're running for your dear life, you won't remember your guitar or your drums or anything. So that was how he lost everything. He told me he lost practically all his instruments during the war, honestly. So actually, tears were dropping from his eyes when he was telling me that part of the story. I said, look, I thought everything about music was gone after that. So, but he said when the war ended in 1970, well, that talent was still in him, and he was praying, went to the church and was praying. He was so devoted to St. Anthony, and said, okay, you are a saint known for finding lost things, lost items and all that. Please, I want you to do it in my own case. I've lost everything that could be called a musical instrument I was ever using. Please restore them for me. He said, like miracle, like jokes, he was able to start picking up the saxophones, start picking up the guitar and all that. And within a short space of time, he could make a full band, musical band one more time. So, and then he continued. See, so from 1967 to 1970, he couldn't record any songs because he lost everything. People were running for their dear lives. So then he started recording again after 1970, when he was able to gather his instruments one more time after losing all the ones he had, and then started recording songs and all that. In fact, that was when his musical career blossomed all the more, because people from our own parts of the country were trying to pick up the pieces after the war. Of course, you know how our people suffered that time and all that. So his musical career blossomed, like he said, because people were looking for things that will console them, make them feel that, okay, yes, we've suffered this war, as devastating, as terrible as it was, but that's not the end of life. The war has ended. We can still pick up the pieces again. We can still bounce back. We can still dust ourselves off and then start trying again. So, of course, Apple, no matter how much they had in the bank that time, came home with £20 only. All that was what was agreed on. It was so terrible. It was such a time. So the morale of the people, their spirit was down. So he said that part of what he tried to do in his song is to uplift the spirit of our people. So the lyrics of the songs actually showed that, because he mentioned some to me, and I said, oh, no wonder why he was singing those things. See, so because there was one particular song he did, Ogademma. He was saying in that song, Echegbuna onwe gị, echegbuna onwe gị n'uche, ewegbuna onwe gị, ewegbuna onwe gị n'iwe, and he added something. Ife na-emene n'ụwa na-atụ gị egwu, egwu n'ụwa atụzi na ị na-emesie na ọ ga-adị mma, eweli emeli ife akọ n'ụwa. Yes, something happened. He told me a story of a particular man that came to him one day. A big man that came with some convoy and some security operatives and all that. I mean, a big man that came to his house. And they said he was looking for him, and the man came into his house and knelt before him. I said, what was that? He asked the man to get up. He said, no, I have to kneel before you because God used you to save my life. I am alive today because of you. Ejeagha said, I don't understand. How are you alive because of me? I am not God. He said, well, you are not God, but God used you to save my life. And this man said, this very song I sang now was the song that saved his life. A businessman, an international businessman that invested, huge into a business, and the whole thing went down the drain. And this man said, the only thing that was coming to my mind that time was to end it all. I said, since all my sweat, everything I've worked for, went in one fell swoop. Of what use is life anyway? Life has lost its meaning, so it's better for me to just end it all. He said that was the thought that was so prevalent in his mind at that time, and he wasn't thinking of anything else. And he was inconsolable. He said nothing anybody said made any meaning to him. And he was just thinking about what the fastest opportunity to just end it all. And he was passing. And this song was playing in a radio set across, and he was listening. This song was saying, don't think too much, don't worry so much. Yes, things may have gone bad, but eventually you will tell it as a story, everything will be fine. And he said, I don't know who saying this, but well, it seems as if this musician is talking to me directly. He said, I don't know why I'm hearing this, but he said, okay, I was the one that made all this money, so I'm still alive. So I can still bounce back and tell the story. And that was when he changed his mind and said, look, I'm going to work hard and I'm sure I'll make money again. That's it. And I will tell the story of how bad things were for me, and I was able to bounce back after all the things I suffered. And boom, that was how it happened. He went back again, contacted his business partners, and then they sent him, loaded some other containers for him and all that. And he said, look, I wouldn't say I've become such a big man, but I think I'm bigger than I was. That's the way he said it. And gave him such a huge amount of money, that day, and said, okay, I have another gift for you. He went and brought a box and said, these are the collection of all your songs, because I eventually went to collect all your songs, all your albums I could lay hand on. And I want to give you a gift of your own songs. He gave him, said, look, see this carton is full of the songs you've recorded over time, the ones I was able to get. I give it to you because you have given so much to the world. I give it back to you if you want to sell them, whatever you want to do with it. There are your songs. You were the one that played, that recorded them. So that was how that visit ended. And he felt so good. He said, I never knew that my songs were making such impact. I said, look, this is just one out of many stories. Some people may not have met you, but you see, at least the visit of that man will tell you how much positive impact your songs were making. So he said he felt so good that when he hears such stories, he told me, Father, he keeps telling me, Father, it's not even about the money, but when I hear stories like that of that man, I say, well, God, thank you that at least you used me to make the life of people better. Yes. That is his greatest fulfillment. So that's how his musical career blossomed.
And you said he spoke to you a lot about his songs and what they mean.
Yes.
Can you share maybe one or two with us?
Yeah. There is this other song, Onye Did Nelia Zupo. The patient dog eats the fattest bone, like the English will say. He said, look, he's not just singing that song to talk to people about life. This is exactly what he did, his understanding of life. Because he said after the war, he felt the way many people from the southeast, of the southeast extraction felt. That was, life is, what life has thrown at us is just too much. Can we actually bounce back? And all that. But he said he was really patient and kept praying to God. Imagine a man who had a blossoming musical career losing every single instrument that he had. It's enough for somebody to contemplate suicide, that kind of thing. But he said he didn't do that. He just told God, well, you gave me these instruments, you gave me this talent of music, I've lost everything, I believe you will still give me back those things. And he followed it with patience. he was such a very patient man, I tell you. If you come in contact with Mike Ejeagha, you can testify to that. In fact, if you are on the fast lane, you will slow down just looking at him.
Yeah.
So that's it. So most of these things, he will look at the way things are going, and So when he said that when things started changing, and people started going on the fast lane and all that, he had to do some songs to tell people to slow down. That's it. That was when he sang Uwambe de Kama.
Okay.
If you listen to the lyrics of that song, and that song was even prophetic, because you see everything he sang there playing out in his life at the end, because he ended up just having a better time in his later days.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So he was trying to teach people that life is a process. He said that all these things, robbery, kind of stealing, people trying to shortchange others and all that fraud, started coming after the war, which was not there. Igbos were not known for that kind of thing. All those things we are now seeing, some violent crimes and all that, started much later. And he was trying to tell people, look, life is a process. It's a gradual process. One step at a time. Take it easy. That's it. And what I say now, for those who are farming, you get a land, you clear it first. You don't begin to harvest immediately you got land. You have to do some things. After clearing it, you cultivate. After cultivating, you sow your seed, you nurture it, you weed it, wait for the time of the harvest. You can now relax and enjoy the fruit of your labor. So that's it. So that's exactly he said what he was trying to teach in that song. So each of his songs had a reason for, and he will always, even the ones that are stories, he will always see that at the end of each of the songs, he will give a lesson. Like the very popular one, Omena Expression number 1, Ejeagha, the story of Ejeagha. How this king decided to make the second son the crown prince instead of the first, which is not done. And the elders were telling him, you don't do this because you're going to cause trouble at the end. So this king, because he was a king, stood his ground and insisted, and eventually it didn't happen the way it happened. So you have lots of lessons. So, and at the end of the day, he said, please, injustice is not good. Give people what is due to them. Yes, you may have some kind of soft spot for the other person, but that shouldn't make you deny this person what is rightfully is. So he was trying to teach justice there. And that's how all these songs are. That's how the songs are.
Now, talking about his music, how do you think his music contributed to the preservation and promotion of our culture as Igbo people?
A great deal. His songs contribute. I mean, I don't think it would be fair to tell the story of the efforts being made, concerted effort being made over time to preserve the Igbo culture, and the name of Mike Ejeagha will be missing in that narrative. I don't think it would be fair. If there will be any narrative about the preservation of Igbo culture, that will be missing his name. This man sang, look, of all his songs, apart from Susan Meringue and When Cock Crows, these are the 2 songs of Mike Ejeagha that were in English. I told you a moment ago he recorded more than 300 songs in 33 studio albums. That's minus the singles. And all these songs were in Igbo language. Honestly, there are some words, you will hear from Mike Ejeagha. So what does this thing mean? So you need to go and check what this thing means. He tried to render these songs in Igbo language, all of them. That's it. So when he talked about bride price, he said, to pay ngo. Most young people of our time don't know what bride price means in our language, in our indigenous language. If you listen to Ejeagha songs, you get some words in Igbo you will not even hear, that most young people wouldn't even know what they mean. They will need to ask somebody else, like I did, in all honesty, because there are some songs I said, what were you saying? This is what you used in this song. What does it mean? He will laugh and say, Father, you guys are you're young people. You don't know anything. You don't know our language anymore. That this thing I said means this. I was, oh my God, is that what you were saying? I didn't understand. So we had such conversations, and he was teaching me a lot of things, some of the words he used in Igbo. Well, he sang on nature dialect. So yes, I was asking him, you are from Ejeagha? So what were you singing in that? He said, well, that people actually get surprised when they hear that he's from Imezowa in Ejeagha local government in Enugu State here, but he was singing, on nature dialect. That was the Igbo that many people knew as at the time. So if you are rendering songs in Igbo and it's in that dialect, it's most likely going to resonate with people, because that was the Igbo that many people knew that time. And people got exposed at a very early stage, and they were all over the place and all that. So that's it. Celestine Oku was once part of his musical team.
Okay.
Yes. If you listen to the songs of Celestine Oku, you also notice he was singing in Onitsha dialect. If you notice, yes, I'm a big fan of Celestine Oku. We just had a celebration for him the other day. I was there. The only surviving daughter came to my office, and I was part of it, and also happy to be part of it. That's another great guy who just was like his friend, gentleman Mike Ejeagha. He told me the story of how they were together. Of course, well, unfortunately, he died. That one died early. He died in 1977. Well, I never go to meet him because I was coming into this world the time he was going. so
now,
that's it.
You speaking about his songs, and you mentioned you didn't understand some of the words, and he had to explain it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then looking at our younger generation now, when they hear songs of Mike Ejeagha, do you think it will resonate with them the same way it resonates with the older people that understand the words he was using and the things he was saying?
We're talking about the words. There aren't many of such words, so to be honest. There aren't many of such. You will get the lesson of Mike Ejeagha's songs if you really listen to him. Because, like, some of them that are just Akokonegu, you will get the story. Like, Onyoru Utaba, for example. You will just get the message. This man, was a great hunter, and at a point had this misfortune, was running around with animals in the bush, and then lost both eyes, became blind after that accident, couldn't see anymore, but then developed some criminal tendencies. He will go to steal people's things, take their chicken or some other things, and when you talk, he will say, is it because I'm a blind person? That's it. Akwebube melo gini. Akwebube kedife melo matije opolum no. So why are people always troubling me? Is it because I'm blind? Is it because no, I don't have anybody again? And so he will come with that emotional blackmail even when he was perpetrating all those crimes. And that was how this sister-in-law of his, who was dealing on snuff, will keep her snuff, and then he will go and take everything. And each time the woman speaks, he would deny and say, oh, well, you're accusing me wrongly and all that. And the woman eventually said, okay, we'll find out who has been stealing this snuff. And then went and put some pepper in that snuff, some black pepper, mixed it with the snuff and kept. And then Akube came to take it, and then immediately he sniffed it. He just threw himself on the ground, and people came around and said, Mbodi has killed me, Mbodi has killed me. So what did Mbodi do to you? He couldn't say. So when the woman was away in the farm, and when she came back, he said, look, this man is saying you've killed him. This brother of your husband is saying you've killed him. He has been shouting your name. And the woman burst out laughing and said, each time I've been complaining that my stuff has been missing, and he never agreed that he was. I said, okay, maybe I'll put something in this snuff, and whoever takes it, the snuff will say who has been taking it. And that was how it happened. So when you listen to the songs, to the stories, you will get the lesson. Yeah. Like I said, that are so because he wanted to translate everything into Igbo language. Like, everybody will know flower, for example. But if you say to younger people, Okoko Sisi, many young people, the Gen Zs, some millennials will not even know what Okoko Sisi means until you say flower, because we have been used to saying flower all the time. But Mike Ejeagha insisted on rendering every word in Igbo. Every word in Igbo. He didn't want to add any English words to the songs. So those are the words that you may ask of. But generally you will listen to the songs and you will, yes, you will understand.
And
There's
pick
no
the message.
yes. So I'm sure it will resonate with people across generations. There's nobody who will take time to listen to him that will not get the message of the song.
And a true example of this Uwambede Kama was when Brain Jotta, the social media guy, came
Okay,
out,
yeah, yeah.
you know, with the Gogongwongo.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yes, exactly. Well, that was the high point of it. Like I told you, the very first public celebration we had for Mike Ejeagha was in 2021 during his 91st birthday. But eventually, some 2 years later, 2023, the Wongo thing came with the young man, the comedian Brain Jotta. In fact, that was the high point of it because this guy has a lot of following on the socials because he's a very popular comedian. And immediately he started that, the thing, just spread like wildfire. And especially when he started that dance challenge.
yes.
He did the dance and wanted people to do that and all that. So it spread all over the place and went even beyond the shores of this country, as a matter of fact. I was seeing some people on the streets of Europe, some European countries doing the Wongo challenge. White people who never even knew anything about Mike Ejeagha. So that was how wide it spread, just like wildfire, like Hamilton fire. So that was the high point of it. That song was Kesilo Nyisi Oche. That's actually the title of that song, not Wongo. Kesilo Nyisi Oche. What transpired between the elephant and the tortoise. And how the tortoise used his wit, his wisdom to outsmart the big elephant, the biggest land animal. Yes. The king had this daughter that everybody wanted to have a hand in marriage, of course. One will expect that. And all the animals wanted to, they said even the elephant had tried repeatedly and they didn't work and all that. And the tortoise was thinking of what to do. So, and they said the daughter of the king said, anyone that will bring the elephant for me will qualify to marry me. I will agree to marry that person. And the tortoise was thinking of what to do and went to the elephant to tell him, well, the king is organizing an ofala, a feast, and said that you are going to be the chairman of the occasion. So I just came to inform you. And the elephant was excited and said, oh, so finally I will have the opportunity to meet the daughter of the king. So being the chairman, chairing his father's occasion, I think that should qualify me to seek her hand in marriage. And he jumped at it immediately and felt it was a golden opportunity. And the tortoise was happy because he had something else in mind. And then the movement just happened. They kept moving. The elephant was telling the tortoise, you are not moving fast. What is your problem? I mean, we need to get there. I can't be late because I'm going to be the chairman of the occasion. I have to chair the occasion, so you have to be fast. The tortoise said, you see, my legs are small. Your own is so big now. One stride of yours, equals 20 or 30 of mine. So, I mean, there's no way I could be at the same pace with you. I said, okay, what do we do now? Okay, you climb at my back. Okay, no problem. Just climb at my back. Let's move fast. Let me carry you. I mean, you don't have any weight. It's not a problem for me taking you at my back. They said, no, okay, but it's difficult for me to climb because you're so high. There's no way. We said, okay, get a rope, tie it on my neck, and then hold it and climb. These were all the plans of the tortoise. And the tortoise climbed, holding the rope that was tied around the elephant's neck. And that was when he started singing that song. Nameza patamenyi. Nameza. So, and the elephant said, wait a minute, what did you say? Oh, that you've caught me? Said, Wambe. He said, no, that's not what I said. I said that the land should protect you, that God should bless you. I said, no, not at all. Just go. I'm following you. I mean, you are going to be the chairman. I'm just your timbu. Don't worry yourself. I'm just a lieutenant. I'm just accompanying you. You are the chairman now. So, I mean, how can I say I caught you? You are the big guy here. And then when he got to the house of the king, he jumped down and handed over the rope to the daughter of the king and said, you said whoever will qualify to marry you should bring the elephant. Now I have brought the elephant to you, so I should qualify. I don't think anything will stop me from getting married to you. So that was how, the elephant was deceived. So such a very beautiful song, trying to tell people, well, a lot of lessons. You've got to be careful the people you're dealing with because you don't know what they have in mind. And when you see what looks like an opportunity, be circumspect. Look before you leap. Be very careful about it because you might actually get into trouble maybe when you're thinking you are winning a jackpot. So it's such a very, very, very beautiful song.
Yeah.
So that's the chorus was what Brent Jota now used. Go, 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 go. Yes, that's it. So it was such a very beautiful thing. The young man was so talented, and they didn't just boom went a lot of yes, exactly.
And finally, because of time, I mean, I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I don't want it to end, but just your final words. What would you like Mike Ejeagha to be remembered for? Generations and generations to come?
Well, yeah. I will want Mike Ejeagha, and I'm sure he is being remembered that way, as that man who literally emptied himself to make the world a better place. Somebody did a post after he passed saying that, look, I am glad that this man is going back to his creator empty. That struck a chord with me. I wanted to find out what this person meant by saying he's going back empty. He said, yes, he's going back empty because he gave back to the world everything that God gave to him. He kept nothing for himself. And he said, this writer is making a sense. So I would want him to be remembered as someone who literally emptied himself, just like Christ did. Self-emptying of Jesus is what we've been celebrating. He did not count his equality with God a thing to grab, but emptied himself. That's exactly what this man did. He emptied himself to make the world a better place through his music. You will notice one thing that marked him out from the rest of the musicians of his time was that he never did any song singing anybody's praise. He dedicated all his songs to giving life lessons to people. That's one thing that's so extraordinary about him. I mean, he had such temptations and all that. People came to him for all that, but he insisted. He stood his ground and said, no, that's not why God gave me this talent. It's to make the world a better place. And he decided to stick to it till the end. So that's how I want him to be remembered. And there's a very simple man who not only taught people with his songs, but gave people lessons with his own life. Because like I said, you see in Mike Ejeagha's life, practically all the lyrics that he gave us all through his 95 years, 2 months and 2 days on earth.
We'll add the minutes and the seconds as well.
Well, we can possibly add that. I don't think I'll be able to calculate that one.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Father Ben Achi, for this lovely, lovely conversation.
Thank you.
Mike Ejeagha was truly a gentleman, and we pray that his gentle soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Amen.
I'll say amen to that.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.